I can almost guarantee most people haven't heard some of the things in this video, and these things can change your life. What is the 8th house in astrology? In this video, I'm going over what it actually means and represents. The 8th house holds the energy of secrets. Anything that's private or concealed is in this house. When someone does something and they don't want anyone to know about it, that's an 8th house thing. It's all about keeping secrets and hiding. Undercover activities are here. Welcome to Astrology by 33, where ancient teachings are finally restored. It's an honor to have you here today. The 8th house in astrology rules over chronic diseases. As we all know, the 6th house rules over disease too. The difference here is the 8th house rules over long-term disease, whereas the 6th house is short-term. Before we get into some deeper stuff, it's important to remember that everything in your chart is a snapshot of your karma when you came into this world. So that means you'll be rewarded for the good deeds you did in your past lives. It also means that if we were cruel to others, we get to pay the price for what we did. Of course, it's possible that God can erase our bad karma and forgive us, but universal law says that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if we hurt someone in the past, they may hurt us in this life. If someone saves you in this life, you may have saved them in the past. So generally, if you've been a good person, your 8th house isn't going to be a big deal. This house is reserved for people who haven't learned the hard lessons yet. It can be the house of payback. We get what we deserve. One of the best 8th house remedies is to always treat others how you want to be treated. The deeds you do today will show up in your chart in future lives. Usually, people are born the same in this life as they were in the most recent one. Evil people today were probably evil people in their last life. Evolution is an extremely slow process. It can take hundreds of years before a soul finally understands why it shouldn't murder people, for example. As our soul matures and we get closer to spiritual liberation, the karmas of the 8th house get lighter and lighter. Young souls can have some heavy karma here, but it's all for the sake of evolution and growth. This is key if we want to understand what's behind the 8th house meaning. When we master the lessons in each of the 12 signs, our karmas continue to lighten because we understand the zodiac as a whole is the law of love. So everything you're about to hear, keep this in mind. What may sound terrible may have no impact in your life whatsoever. This isn't a house to fear for those with light karma. The 8th house in astrology rules over the energy of destruction. It's also known as the house of extinction. This force is necessary for the process of renewal. If you don't destroy the old crops in your field, how can you plant more in the spring? We carry away the old to make room for the new. Life itself depends on this process. If we don't destroy the plants, we can't eat, and then we starve. It's the force of removal, like taking out the trash. 8th house energy is an essential part of life. If we don't clip our toenails after a while, they get really gross. We want to get rid of them. So even though destruction sounds severe, we need it for balance. It can be an energy of loss, but we don't really feel that bad when we lose our toenail clippings. You know what I mean? Loss isn't always bad. This house also represents battle, which includes fighting, war, and the battlefield itself. Now, if you want to know more about the 8th house and money, it rules over any money you didn't make yourself. If you have good karma, this house could make you instantly wealthy without doing any work. It's money that could be due to you from a past life, or even this one. That's why inheritance is assigned to this house. Any money or property left to you in a will is found in your 8th house. If you get a pension or a social security check, that's 8th house energy or easy money. This is another reason not to fear the 8th house. Winning the lottery is here too. But we shouldn't rely on this house for money because there's no replacement for work and doing what we love. Service to others makes the world a better place, but it's nice to know the 8th house and wealth go together like summer and watermelon. Now, this is something you never hear anyone talk about, and you might find this surprising. The 8th house can actually rule over happiness. This is opposite of what we hear online. Of course, we know the 1st and 4th houses are the main ones to look at for happiness, but the 8th house can hold hidden joy for those with good karma. And this makes sense if you win the lottery or receive a large sum of money out of the blue. Tell me who wouldn't be happy with that? These two highly respected astrology scriptures say the 8th house represents happiness. The iconic book used in the best astrology schools in India, Jaltika Parijata, says the 8th house represents the Sanskrit word Rana. Like we talked about earlier, this word can also mean battlefield, but it also means joy, pleasure, and delight. The things in this house could actually make you happy. There's even more research to prove this. These two classic astrology books say the 8th house represents the Sanskrit word Mangalya, which means fortunate, pleasing, happy, agreeable, and prosperous. Before we get to the dark side of the 8th house next, if you'd like to show your support for the many hours of love I put into this video, make sure to press the thumbs up button below. And thank you so much. Now, it's important to realize that each house in the birth chart has its good and bad sides. That's reality. Like the sun rules the day and the moon rules the night. We need light and dark for balance. When we understand the darker aspects of the 8th house, we plunge into the core of our being. All the things we keep hidden from others, including the skeletons in our closet, are here. This house is as deep and dark as the zodiac gets. When we plunge into this house, we might not always like the skeletons we encounter because it's easy to stuff them away. But when we face and deal with them, we start to clean this house out and they eventually go away when we dare to take that dive. It's not always fun, but it's most definitely rewarding. On that note, 8th house astrology represents the energy of death. It's associated with Yama, who is the god of death, time, and disease. As bad as that sounds, ancient legend says he's full of righteousness, compassion, and justice. He's part of the heavenly government and works under the authority of the highest king. Yama is an aspect of Mars and rules over the direction of south. He judges the dead based on their life actions and dishes out punishment according to universal law. To the righteous, he appears as the loving creator. To evil people, he appears really dark and creepy. Not everyone has the same experience of death. It depends on your 8th house karma. This same energy also rules over longevity, age, vital power, and length of life. A tortoise lives over 100 years. This is done through 8th house energy. It's important to understand that death doesn't always mean physical death. It can mean death of corruption, death of a bad habit, or just the end of something. It's the conclusion of the story. Sometimes this is the greatest blessing because when one door closes, another one opens. That's why it's called the 8th house of transformation. One of the most exciting things in life is when a new chapter starts. That can only happen when the last one ends. So this is a house of hope, transition, and change. We have the power to make the next chapter much better. Letting go of the past is key to moving forward. The 8th house rules over obstacles. If something slows you down or gets delayed, take a look at your 8th house. The 6th house can do this too. Now, a lot of you want to know about the connection between the 8th house and the occult. The first thing is to make sure we all understand the definition of occult, which, according to Webster, means beyond the range of ordinary knowledge, 2, secret, disclosed, or communicated only to the initiated. When many people hear the word occult, they automatically think evil, but that's not what this word means. When we go beyond the range of ordinary knowledge, we look at things most people don't talk about. For example, ordinary knowledge for Christians is the Bible, but when you go beyond that and look into the roots of the original Jewish priesthood in the Bible, we get into subjects like Kabbalah, which Christians say is part of the occult. Did you know they found astrology scriptures with the original Bible when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls around the 1950s? That's an occult finding. Many Christians today don't realize astrology was an intimate part of the priesthood. Many texts were voted out of the Bible we have today. Some were voted out by a very narrow margin at the Council of Nicaea, and they're definitely worth a read. Yoga is another example of 8th house occult energy. Most people think yoga is just a stretching workout for hipsters. That's ordinary knowledge. But when we go beyond that and look at the roots of yoga, we see these exercises are just preliminary techniques to calm and balance the mind in preparation for the ultimate union with God. The meaning of the word yoga itself means union. That's the final destination. I and my Father are one. The advanced practice of Kriya Yoga is a scientific technique that leads to this final union with God. It can only be practiced when the person is initiated, which is part of the occult definition. Kriya Yoga is an 8th house practice because most people don't know it's a higher form of yoga reserved for sincere seekers. This makes it an occult practice, but that doesn't mean it's evil. It's just beyond the range of ordinary knowledge and disclosed only to the initiated. It's generally a secret practice. Kriya Yoga should only be practiced under the guidance of a qualified teacher and is one of the best remedies for bad 8th house karma. I don't recommend signing any contracts because they're binding and can be a form of black magic. It's good to use intuitive discernment. When the breath runs up and down the spine, it slowly scrubs away evil karma that's stored in the chakras. The more repetitions done, the more karma is erased. This is one of the most transformative techniques in the world and can change a person's life completely for the better. We shouldn't depend on this technique as a way of saving ourselves or working our way to heaven, but when it's done under the supervision of God and we've asked for forgiveness for our wrongdoings, He can erase the karma according to His will. When we remember that the power and prana within us is His power, we learn to do the practice with humility and gratitude. There is no action that can be done without Him. When we realize this, the power of the practice amplifies. It always helps to ask God to bless and do the practice with us before each session. Even Jesus said, "By myself I can do nothing." It's been said that Jesus Christ was an initiate of Kriya Yoga. This is an 8th house occult teaching. It's not mainstream news and you'll never hear that in any church. The ancient scriptures call it the house of mystery. It's where to look if you want to dig deeper into a subject. The energy of defeat is also ruled by the 8th house. When you lose a competition, that's an 8th house thing. The good news is when we lose, it gives us motivation to work harder and get better. This builds strength and character. It also rules over disputes. When you get angry and fight with someone, the 8th house gets activated. Misery, sorrow, suffering, and any kind of distress are assigned to the 8th house. Sometimes these emotions are the pure source of fuel that lead to a positive transformation. Most Olympic athletes have suffered a great deal on the long road of training and sacrifice. When a goal is worth achieving, many people understand it's not always going to be fun, and sometimes it can be extremely difficult. When we suffer, we need to keep in mind it won't be forever, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. When we keep moving forward, the light gets closer and closer. This house will tempt us to give up, but the secret lies within that force. Pushing into the resistance is key to rising above and winning. Doing the right thing, even when it's hard, leads to victory, and that's where having patience comes in. When we can bear the challenge without complaining or losing our temper, we learn to master this energy and activate the house in a positive way. It's about having strong determination. This has to come from deep within you. The 8th house can represent your enemies. We know the 6th house rules over them too. One thing that will save us a lot of suffering in the future is if we refrain from creating more negative karma with them. That's hard to do, but it's harder to face the backlash of our bad actions in the future. So it's good to lay low and not stir the pot, if you know what I mean. Now here's something interesting. These Sanskrit words represent the 8th house. They're defined as a vulnerable and weak point. They can also mean leaky or piercing a hole in your boat. This represents our weaknesses that prevent us from achieving spiritual liberation. The 8th house also represents a boat. The boat is you as you navigate the waters of life and consciousness. We won't make it to the destination if there are holes in our boat. The 8th house stops us from time to time to see if there are any leaks. If there are, we'll definitely know about it. Instead of freaking out, it's good to take a closer look at what this house is trying to teach us, even though it's often a painful lesson. The 8th house also represents the energy of crossing a river. The universe points out the cracks in our boat and gives us the push to fix them. Ultimately, all these difficult lessons are to get us across the river. Sometimes the greatest teacher is adversity. It's not an accident that the 8th house also represents impurity. Until our boat is fully clean, we can't exit the cycle of rebirth. Purification is an important part of evolution. Misfortune can also be an 8th house theme. A chain of unfortunate events and disappointments are assigned to this house. You'll also find tremendous affliction here. This includes the energy of cruelty, evil actions, and even slavery. For example, a lot of people think slavery is a thing of the past, but modern slavery and human trafficking are huge global threats. The biggest hotel chains in the world today train their staff to be on alert for this kind of thing going through their rooms. You can read this online in their policies. To keep their license up to date, medical professionals have to take courses in recognizing the signs of human trafficking. It's a bigger problem than we realize, and good leaders aren't afraid to talk about it. A lot comes through the border. The famous astrologer Prituyashus says the 8th house represents punishment from the government. A great example of this would be when the authorities force a person to take something against their will or lose their job. This kind of insult is one of many 8th house issues. Humiliation and blame are on the list too. Each one of the 12 houses represents a part of your body. Anatomically speaking, the 8th house rules over the reproductive organs and anus. If you'd like to learn more about the driving energy of Scorpio behind the 8th house, check out the link here. Please note this is not a video about personality types. It's not targeting anyone with a Scorpio sun sign. It's about an aspect of universal energy called Scorpio that doesn't always get a positive reaction because it can be misunderstood. So please keep that in mind if you choose to watch it. It goes much deeper into the stellar force behind the 8th house and what it really means. It's worth a watch if you want to know more. Make sure to subscribe below and visit astrologyby33.com for more.